Welcome to Their Eyes Were Watching God, Chapter 2. I don't know when I'm going to stop. I might stop at Chapter 2. I don't know. I'm kind of getting already tired of this book. I'm already behind. So let's just jump into it. Janie saw her life like a great tree and leaf, with the things suffered, things enjoyed, things done and undone. Dawn and doom was in the branches. I know exactly what I got to tell you, but it's hard to know where to start at. I ain't never seen my papa, and I didn't know if I did. My mama neither. She was gone from around here long before I was big enough to know. My grandma raised me. My grandma and the white folks she worked with. She had a house out in the backyard, and that's where I was born. They was quality white folks up there in West Florida. Uh, there was quality white folks up there in West Florida. Named Washburn. She had four grandchildren on a place, and all of us played together. And that's how come I never called my grandma nothing but Nanny, 'cause that's what everybody on the place called her. Nanny used to catch us in our devilment and lick every youngin' on the place, and Miss Washburn did the same. I reckon they never hit us a lick amiss, 'cause them three boys and us two girls was pretty aggravation, I spec. I was with them white chillin' so much till I didn't know I wasn't white till I was around 6 years old. Wouldn't have found out then, but a man came along taking pictures, and without asked Shelby, that was the oldest boy. He told him to take us. Around a week later, the man brought the picture for Miss Washburn to see and pay him, which she did, and then give us all a good looking. So when we looked at the picture and everybody got pointed out, there was nobody left except a real dark little girl with long hair standing by Eleanor. That's where I was supposed to be, but I couldn't recognize the dark chillin' as me. So I asked me, "Where's me? I don't see me." Everybody laughed, even Mr. Washburn, Miss Nellie, mama of the chillin', who come back home after her husband dead. She pointed to the dark one and said, "That's you, Alphabet. Don't you know your own self?" They all used to call me Alphabet, 'cause so many people had done named me different names. I looked at the picture a long time ago and said it was my dress and my hair. So I said, colored. Then they all laughed real hard. But before I seen the picture, I thought I was just like the rest. Us lived, us lived there, having fun till the chillin' at school got to teasing me about living in the white folks' backyard. There was a naughty head gal named Marilla that used to get mad every time she looks at me. Miss Washburn used to dress me up in all the clothes her grandchildren didn't need no more, which still was better'n what the rest of the colored children had. And then she used to put hair ribbon on my head for me to wear. That used to rile Marilla a lot, so she would pick at me all the time and put some others up to do the same. They'd push me away from the ring plays, and make out they couldn't play with nobody that lived on premises. Then they'd tell me not to be taken on over my looks, 'cause they mama told them about the hound dogs hunting my papa all night long. About Mr. Washburn and the sheriff putting the bloodhounds on the trail to catch my papa for what he done to mama. They didn't tell anybody how we was seen trying to get in touch with my mama later on, so he could marry her. Nah, uh, marry her. Nah, they didn't talk that part of it at all. They made it sound real bad, so I had to crumple my feathers. None of them didn't even remember what his name was, but they all know the bloodhound part by heart. Nanny didn't love to see me with my head hung down, so she figured It would be better for me if us had a house. She got the land and everything, and then Miss Washburn helped out a whole heap with things. Phoebe, hungry, listened, helped Janie to tell her story. So she went on thinking back to her young years and explaining them to her friend and self. Easy phrases while all around the house. The night time put on flesh and blackness. She thought a while and decided that her uh, conscious life had commenced at Nanny's gate. On a late afternoon, Nanny had called her to come inside the house because she had spied Janie letting Johnny Taylor kiss her over in the gate spot. It was a spring afternoon in West Florida. Janie had spent most of the day under a blossoming pear tree in the backyard. She had been spending every minute that she could steal from her chores under that tree for the last 3 days. That was to say, ever since the first tiny bloom had opened, it had called her to her it called her to come and gaze on a mystery, from barren brown stems to glistening leaf buds, from the leaf buds to snowy virginity of bloom. It stirred her tremendously. How? Why? It was like a flute song forgotten in another existence and remembered again. What? How? Why? This singing she heard that had nothing to do with her ears. The rose of the world was breathing out a smell. It followed her through all her waking moments and caressed her in her sleep. It connected itself with other vaguely felt matters that had struck her outside observation and buried themselves in her flesh. Now they emerged and quested about her consciousness. She was stretched on her back beneath the pear tree, soaking in the alto chant of the visiting bees, the gold of the sun, and the panting breath of the breeze when the inaudible voice of it all came to her. She saw a dust-bearing bee sink into the sanctum of a bloom, the thousand sister calyxes arched to meet the love and the ecstatic shiver of the tree from root to tiniest branch, creaming in every blossom and frothing with delight. So this was a marriage she had summoned to behold, a revelation. Then Janie felt a pain remorseless sweep that left her limp and languid. After a while she got up from where she was and went over the little garden field in time. She was seeking confirmation of the voice and vision, and everywhere she found an acknowledged answer, a personal answer for all other creations except herself. She felt an answer seeking her, but where, when, how? She found herself at the kitchen door and stumbled inside. In the air of the room were flies tumbling and singing, marrying and giving in the marriage. When she reached the narrow hallway, she was reminded that her grandmother was home with a sick headache. She was lying across the bed asleep, so Janie tipped on out of the front door. Oh, to be a pear tree, any tree in bloom, with kissing bees singing of the world of the world. She was 16. She had glossy leaves and bursting buds, and she wanted to struggle with life, but it seemed to elude her. Where were the singing bees for her? Nothing on the place, nor in her grandma's house, answered her. She searched as much of the world as she could from the top of the front steps, and then went on down to the front gate and leaned over to gaze up and down the road, looking, waiting, breathing short with impatience, waiting for the world to be made. Through pollinated air she saw a glorious being coming up the road. In her former blindness she had known him as shiftless Johnny Taylor, tall and lean. That was before the golden dust of pollen and beglamoured his rags in her eyes. In the last stages of Nanny's sleep she dreamed of voices, voices far off but persistent, and gradually coming nearer. Janie's voice, Janie talking in whispery snatches with a male voice she couldn't quite place, that brought her wide awake. She bolted upright and peered out of the window and saw Johnny Taylor lacerating her, Janie, with a kiss. Janie! The old woman's voice was so lacking command and reproof, so full of crumbling dissolution that Janie half believed that Nanny had not seen her. So she extended herself outside of her dream and went inside of the house. That was the end of her childhood. Nanny's head and face um looked like the standing roots of some old tree that had been torn away by the storm. A foundation of ancient power that no longer mattered. The cooling Palma Christi leaves that Janie had bound about her grandma's head. with a white rag has wilted down and become part and parcel of the woman. Her eyes didn't bore and pierce, they diffused and melted Janie, the room and the world into one comprehension. Janie, you's a omen now, so nah nanny. Nah ain't no real omen yet. The thought was too new and heavy for Janie. She fought it away. Nanny closed her eyes and nodded a slow, wary affirmation many times before she gave it voice. Yeah, Janie, you's go yo womanhood on ya, so I mount as well tell ya what I been saving up for a spell. I went to see you married right away. Me married? Nah, Nanny, no, ma'am. What I know about my husband, what I seen just now is plenty for me, honey. I don't want no trashy. Says the N word. I don't have a pass up. Mr. Williams, why are you trying to sabotage me? What do I do? I really don't know what to do. It's the end. I don't want to end up like PewDiePie, you know? I don't want to end up on Vox. Indian boy says the N word. I can't do that. You know? Already there's some other Indians saying, I don't associate with, you know? I can't do that. I'm sorry. Do you really think I'm just going to say the N word? You shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Alright, let's skip that. No breath and britches. Like Johnny Taylor using yo body to wipe his foots on. Nanny's words made Janie's kiss across the gatepost seem like a manure pile after a rain. Look at me, Janie. Don't sit there with yo head hung down. Look at yo old grandma. Her voice began snagging on the prongs of her feelings. I don't want to be talking to you like this. Fact is, I done been on my knees to my maker many's the time asking please for him not to make the burden too heavy for me to bear. Nanny, I didn't mean nothing bad. That's what makes me scared. You don't mean no harm. You don't even know where harm is at. Oh, now. I can't be always guiding your feet from harm and danger. I wants to see you married right away. I'm going to marry off hand like that. I don't know nobody. The Lord will provide. The Lord will provide. He know I don't bore the burden in the heat. What am I reading? The heat of the day. Somebody done spoke to me about you long time ago. I ain't said nothing, 'cause that wasn't the way I placed you. I wanted you to school out and pick from a higher bush and a sweeter berry, but that ain't your idea, I see. Nanny, who that been asking you for me? Brother Logan and Killix. He's a good man too. Nah, Nanny, no, ma'am. Is that what he been hanging around here for? He looked like some old skullhead in the graveyard. The older woman sat bolt upright and put her feet to the floor and thrust back the leaves from her face. So you don't want to marry off descent, like, do you? You just want to hug and kiss and feel around with first one man and then another, huh? You wants to make me suck the same sorrow yo mama did, eh? What am I reading? My old head ain't gray enough. My back ain't bowed enough to suit you. The vision of Logan Killix was des- desecrating the pear tree. But Janie didn't know how to tell Nanny that. She merely hunched over and pouted at the floor. Janie, yes, ma'am. You answer me when I speak. Don't you sit there pouting with me after all. I done went through for you. She slapped the girl's face violently and forced her head back so that their eyes met in the struggle. With her hand uplifted for the second blow, she saw the huge tear that welled up from Janie's heart and stood in each eye. She saw the terrible agony and the lips tightened down to hold back the cry and desisted. Instead, she brushed back the heavy hair from Janie's face and stood there suffering and loving, the weeping eternally for both of them. Come to your grandma, honey, set in her lap like yo used to. Yo Nanny wouldn't harm a hair yo ahead. She don't want nobody else to do it neither, if she can help it. Honey, the white man is the ruler of everything, as far as I been able to find out. Maybe it's some place way off in the ocean where the black man is in power. But we don't know nothing but what we see. So the white man throw down the load and tell the another N word, I can't say it, man to pick it up. He picked it up because he gave to, but he don't told it. He handed to his women folks to Mr. Williams. This is not family friendly. I can't say that. The beep woman is the meal. The world so far as I can see. I've been praying for it to be different with you. Lot. 15 minutes already. Wow. For a long time, she sat rocking with the girl head tightly to her sunken breast. Janie's long legs dangled over one arm of the chair, and the long braids of her hair. Pause! Let me just count how many pages. Okay, we're almost done. Unpause. Janie's long legs dangled over one arm of the chair, and the long braids of her hair swung low on the other side. Nanny's half sung, half sobbed a running chant prayer over the head of the whipping girl. Lord, have mercy. It was a long time on the way, but I reckon it had to come. Oh, Jesus, dear Jesus, I done the best I could. Finally, they both grew calm. Janie, how long you been loaned Johnny Taylor to kiss you? Only this one time, Nanny. I don't love him at all. What made me do it is, oh, I don't know. Thank you, my Messiah Jesus. I ain't going to do it no more. Nanny, please don't make me marry Mr. Killix. Tain't Logan Killix. I want you to have. Baby, it's protection. I ain't getting old, honey. I'm done old. One morning, soon now, the angel with the sword is going to stop by here. The day and the hour is hid from me, but it won't be long. I asked God when you was an infant in my arms to let me. Apologies. I asked the Lord when you was a infant in my arms to let me stay here till you got grown. He done spared me to see the day. My daily prayer now is to let these golden moments roll on a few days longer till I see you safe in life. Let me wait. Nanny, please, just a little bit more. Don't think I don't feel with you, Janie, 'cause I do. I couldn't love you no more if I had felt your birth pains myself. Fact that didn't matter. I loves you a whole heap more than I do your mama, the one I did birth. But you got to take in consideration you ain't no everyday chillin' most of 'em. You ain't got no papa. You might just as well say no mama, for the good she do ya. You ain't got nobody but me. And my head is old and tilted towards the grave, neither can you stand alone by yourself. The thought of you being kicked around from pillar to post is a hurting thing. Every tear you drop squeezes a cup of blood out of my heart. I good to try and do for your beefo. My head is cold. A sobbing sigh burst out of Janie. The old woman answered her with little soothing pats of the hand. You know, honey, us colored folks is branches without roots, and that makes things come around in queer ways. You in particular. I was born back to enslaver, so it wasn't for me to fulfill my dreams of what a woman ought to be and to do. That's one of the holdbacks of slavery. But nothing can stop you from wishing. You can't beat nobody down so low so you can rob 'em off they will. I didn't want to be used for a work ox and a broad bird so, and I didn't want my daughter used that way neither. It show wasn't my will for things to happen like that they did. I even hated the way you was born. But all the same, I said, thank God I got another chance. I wanted to preach a great sermon about colored women sitting on high, but they wasn't no pulpit for me. Freedom found me with a baby daughter in my arms, so I said I'd take a broom and a cook pot and throw up a highway through the wilderness for her. She would expound what I felt. But somehow she got lost off of the highway, and next thing I knowed, here you was in the world. So whilst I was tending you one of the nights, I said I'd saved a text for you. I've been waiting a long time, Janie, but nothing. I've been through. Ain't too much if you just take a stand on high ground. Like I dreamed, old Nanny sat there rocking Janie like an infant, and thinking back and back, mind pictures brought feelings, and feelings dragged out dramas from the halls of her heart. That morning, on the big plantation close to Savannah, a rider coming galloped on about Sherman taking Atlanta. Mars Roberts' son had done been killed at Chickamauga. So he grabbed his gun and straddled his best horse and went off, with the rest of the gray-headed men and young boys to drive the Yankees back into Tennessee. They was all cheering and crying and shouting for the men. That was riding off. I couldn't see nothing 'cause your mama wasn't but a week old, and I was flat on my back. But pretty soon he let on her. He let on he forgot something and run into my cabin and made me let down my hair for the last time. He sort of wrapped his hand in it, pulled my pigtail like he was always done, and was gone after the rest like lightning. I heard him giving one last whoop for him. Then the big house in the quarters got sober and silent. It was a cool evening when Mrs. come walk in my door. She threw the door wide open and stood there, looking at me out of her eyes and her face. Looked like she'd been living through 100 years in January without one day of spring. She come stood over me in the bed. Nanny, I come to see that baby of yours. I tried not to feel the breeze off her face, but it got so cold in there that I was freezing to death under the covers, so I couldn't move right away like I aimed to. But I know I had to give me a sec. I look like a Rajiv Kapoor. Frick. I'm so exhausted. 21 minutes, really? I'm definitely not editing this. But I know to make haste and do it. You better get the kiver off him, that youngin', and that quick. She clashed at me. Look like you don't know who is Mistis on this plantation, madam, but I aims to show you. By that time I had done managed to uncover my baby, enough for her to see the head and face. Nay, Mr. Williams, I swear one more time, I am not gonna get cancelled, okay? What's your baby doing? With gray eyes and yellow hair. She began to slap my jaws every which way. I never felt the first ones, 'cause I was too busy getting the kiver back over my chillin'. But them last lick burnt me like fire. I had too many feelings to tell you which one to follow, so I didn't cry and I didn't do nothing else. But then she kept on asking me how come my boy looks white. Baby looks white. She asked me that maybe 25 or 30 times, like she got to saying that couldn't help herself. So I told her, I don't know nothing but what I told to do, 'cause I ain't nothing but a Mr. Williams. I cannot say the M word. I'm sorry. Uh, a slave. Instead of pacifying her lack I thought, like look like she got madder. But I reckon she wasn't tired and wore out, 'cause she didn't hit me no more. She went to the foot of the bed and wiped her hands on her handkerchief. I wouldn't dirty my hands on you, but first thing in the morning, the overseer will take you to the whipping post and tie you down on your knees and cut the hide off your yaller back. 100 lashes with a raw hide on your bare back. I'll have you whipped till the blood run down to your heels. I meant to count the licks myself, and if it kills you, I'll stand a loss. Oh my god. Thank goodness we're almost done. Oh wait, I have a bunch of more chapters to read. Great. Anyway, anyhow, as soon as that brat is a month old, I'm going to sell it off this place. She flounced on off and left her winter time with me. I know my body wasn't healed, but I couldn't consider that. In the black dark, I wrapped my baby the best I know how. I made it to the swamp by the river. I know the place was full of moccasins and other bitten snakes, but I was more scared of what was behind me. I hide in there day and I suckle the baby every time she started to cry. I fear somebody might hear her, and I'd get found. I ain't saying a friend or two didn't feel my care, and the good Lord said, seeing to it that I wasn't taken. I don't know, see how come my milk didn't kill my child. With me so scared and worried all the time, the noise of the owls scared me. The limbs of those cypress trees took to crawl and moving round after dark, and 2 or 3 times I hear panthers prowling round, but nothing never hurt me, 'cause the Lord knowed how it was. Then one night I hear the big guns booming like thunder. It kept us up all night long, and the next morning I could see a big ship at a distance and a great stern round. So I wrapped Leafy up in moss and fixed her good in a tree, and picked my way on down to the landing. The men was all in blue, and I heard people say Sherman was coming to meet the boats in Savannah, and all of us slaves was free. So I run got my baby and got in quotation with people and found a place I couldn't stay. But it was a long time before the big surrender at Richmond. Then the big bell ring in Atlanta and all the men. 25 minutes. Holy guacamole, macaroni, Jose. Let's continue. Gray uniforms had to go to Moultrie and bury their swords in the ground. To show there was never to fight about slavery no more. So then we know when we was free. I wouldn't marry nobody, though I could have a heap of times, 'cause I didn't want nobody mistreating me, my baby. So I got with some good white people and come down here in West Florida to work and make the sun shine on both sides of the street for Leafy. But madam helped me with her just talk like she been doing with you. I put her in school when it got to so it was a school to put her in. I was expecting to make a school teacher out of her. But one day she didn't come home as the usual time, and I waited and waited. But she never come all that night. I took a lantern and went around asking everybody, but nobody ain't seen her. The next morning she come crawling in on her hands and knees. I sight to see. That school teacher had done hid her in the woods all night long, and he had done raped my baby. And wait, what the flip? That is so wrong. Okay. And run off just before day. She was only 17 and something like that to happen. Lord mercy. Looked like I couldn't see it all over again. It was a long time before she was well, and by that time, you know, you was on the way. And after you was born, she took to drinking liquor and staying out nights. Couldn't get her to stay here nowhere else. Lord knows where she is right now, and she ain't dead. 'Cause I know it by my feelings, but sometimes I wish she was at rest. And Janie, maybe it wasn't much, but I done the best I can by you. I raked and scraped and bought this little piece of land so you wouldn't have to stay in the white folks' yard and tuck your head up before other children at school. That was all right when you was little. But when you got big enough to understand things, I wanted you to look upon yourself. I don't want your feathers always crumpled by folks throwing up and things in your face. Excuse me. And I can't die easy thinking maybe the man folks, white or black, is making a spit cup out of you. Have some sympathy for me. Put me down easy, Janie. A cracked plate. We're done with chapter 2. Chapter 3. I'm gonna record it right now. and I'll upload it in the next video. So I'll see you then.